Charlie, Angus, and the Toronto Star are showing their TDS, their Trump derangement syndrome, and that's interesting to watch. We'll see what they're doing. And there's some U.S. news that is all just Canadian news talking about how terrible the U.S. is and how terrible Trump specifically is. And I think that's probably a bad strategy when he's the leader of our closest ally, right? Like, it doesn't feel great. What else? G7 presidency and year-end interviews for Justin Trudeau. And we've got some election news and lots of things, lots of interesting stories on this not New Year's Day. So lots to get to. Let's get to it first. Mark Critch, who's this hour is 22 minutes comedian guy, gets the only year-end interview with Justin Trudeau. And it's like a softball interview because it's a comedy show, right? It's not a real interview where people are asking hard questions, et cetera, et cetera. They talk about Taylor Swift. They talk about, what else did they talk about? Hold on a second. Friendship bracelets, Tucker Carlson, and nothing of substance that Canadians actually want to hear about. And the comedian uses the camera a lot, like does Jim looks at the camera and is trying to appeal. It's trying to make the prime minister seem likable. And that's, no, I'm not interested in that at all. So Mark says, Trudeau makes his case to Canadians in year-end interview with comedian Mark Critch. And World of Home says, Trudeau canceled all of his year-end interviews with real journalists after firing his finance minister, then flies from BC to Montreal for a parody interview. Elect a clown, expect a circus. Yep, right? And so Mark highlights what this interview was about. Fathers walk away in the snow moment. The trucker convoy, Taylor Swift, friendship bracelets. Recorded before Chrystia Freeland was fired, but still aired after the chaos. Who thought this was a good idea? Jagmeet Singh thought, man, that Justin Trudeau interview on This Hour Has 22 Minutes with this Mark Critch guy is a great idea. I think I'll do that too. So they coordinated, said, I'm going to be in Ottawa or Montreal or whatever it is. And maybe we can get together for lunch, talk about how we're going to continue to support each other, even though we've said, or Jagmeet Singh has said publicly that he won't support Trudeau. Backroom deals are made and so on and so forth. And this is the most ridiculous thing ever. Buzz 6 Buzz TV says NDP leader Jagmeet Singh shows how he would have body slammed the man who called him a corrupt politician. And so honestly, for whatever reason, he's body slamming this guy. They're dressed in gis. I guess there's some kind of martial arts aspect to this. I don't care all that much. I just think it's a weird flex. Here you go.
Okay, so I'm going to be the guy getting in your face, and you show Canada what you would have done.
Sure,
right?
sure.
Jagmeet, you corrupt bastard! You're corrupt! I'll vote for you!
No. Nope. I don't think so. Lion Advocacy says, I don't think Canada has ever been governed for so long by a leader and political party that has so little support. It's creating a destabilizing effect on the entire fabric of this country as Trudeau and his cronies continue to direct wealth into the hands of ideological allies. So yeah, they're stealing from us and they're doing it with impunity. It's pretty crazy. And Jagmeet Singh is helping them, and although pretending to stand up to them while helping them. So inconsistent. He says, with every new year comes change, and it's my commitment to you, to every child, parent, worker, senior. The New Democrats will fight for change that works for everyday people. On behalf of all New Democrats, Happy New Year, and let's get to work. No. I don't believe a word he says. If he wanted to help Canadians, he would not have supported the carbon tax. He would not have allowed Justin Trudeau to govern for the last year and more, right? So works for everyday Canadians. How about works for his pension? I think that's what he's talking about. Dr. Kulvinder Kaur is highlighting the Wackos video. I still haven't watched it all. I know. It's busy. It's a busy time of year. I'm sorry. I'm working on it. I intend to, but the feedback other people are giving is kind of negative. And the negative stuff is fundamentally you're missing whole big swaths of wacky stuff from your Wackos video. So Dr. Kaur, being the victim of a lot of this wacky stuff, says, I'm still trying to comprehend how Pierre Poilievre and the Conservative Party created a scathing 12-minute video compilation on wacko Trudeau and his disastrous ministers without even a single mention of their most wacko edicts, government's unethical, unscientific, and unprecedented lockdowns and mandates that have harmed millions of Canadians over the past 5 years. Lockdowns were the most horrific, inhumane, and inflationary government-imposed policy of our lifetimes, for which generations of Canadians will continue to pay the catastrophic economic, social, mental, and health costs. I'm unable to grapple with how this wasn't worthy of even a second in your video, Pierre Poilievre, and your continued absolute silence on COVID, truth and reconciliation to ensure full public transparency and accountability. Yeah, it's unfortunate because that's the aspect of things that we're just not going to have any kind of justice for. Like, these people are going to behave as if everything they did during COVID was, pretty well above board, and we did our best, et cetera, et cetera. And what happened to the flu? I don't believe you did your best. Tamara Litch is responding to Dr. Kaur's statement, and she says, the silence is deafening. Yep, sure is. The things that Mr. Poilievre focuses on, he speaks very loudly about and very eloquently about. He's very good at putting together a compelling thing to listen to or whatever. He talks about what people are interested in hearing about. But the things he doesn't talk about, that's deafening, right? That's very loud. Matt says, remember when Pierre Poilievre ignored 2 years of COVID tyranny and vaccine mandates in his newly released movie to expose Trudeau and the Liberals? I do. Why? Because the CPC refuses to fight them. Deafening Silence, Bring It Home, Lost Freedom Files, 1634. I don't know I thought maybe there was a link somewhere for Lost Freedom Files, 1634. And I thought to myself, man, like 1634, I've never heard of this guy. What have you been doing? But maybe he's more well known and I've just ignored him. No. Anyway, I don't know where the 1634 number, like what he's referring to. Anyway, Finding Realm responded to my video from yesterday. He says, I'm curious to where Jagmeet Singh is in the Wacko video. Perhaps a backdoor deal is being made. So yeah, interesting omissions, right? Interesting omissions indeed from the Wacko video. What's going on, Pierre Poilievre? Like, you want to tell us some of the story, but not all of the story, right? Manipulative. Vladimir Zelensky is excited that Canada is now taking the G7 presidency. And he says, today marks the beginning of Canada's G7 presidency. We are all placing great hope in this year that together in 25, through our collective strength, we can achieve a stable and just peace. Canada has been supporting Ukraine in its battle for independence since the beginning of the full-scale invasion. And we are all grateful for all the assistance provided and the cooperation with all partners in the G7. Over the past years working together, we have proven that the unity of the world's largest democracies can make life more secure. In the new year, we count on achieving similar results. Together, we must ensure that Moscow gains no benefit from this war. I think that it's interesting that he says, over the past year, working together, we've proven that the unity of the world's largest democracies can make life more secure. Ukraine's more secure now than it was before? How? All the buildings bombed out by the Russian bombs are making it more secure. The land you've lost to the Russians is making it more secure. Like, what kind of insanity how crazy do you have to be to believe the things that Zelensky's saying? And I don't think there's any pathway to Ukraine beating Russia. I don't think that Russia invaded in a way that was unprovoked. I think that NATO expansion and regime change in 2014 led to where we are now, and NATO is trying to onboard Ukraine, and that's a hard red line for Russia. They don't want that. And so there's a whole bunch of context that's missing from this happy fantasy opinion from Zelensky. So he may think that, we're going to win this war and blah, 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 blah. I think we shouldn't fund this war. I think Zelensky should be forced to make peace. And by forced to make peace, I mean, we sent him a letter that just says, we're not sending any more money. Sorry about your luck. Good luck with that peace thing. We've got a table and some mediators, but it's Mel Joly. So we'd understand if you skip that one for us. Like, honestly, why? Why are we doing this? It doesn't make any sense. As president of the G7, if I'm magically made president of the G7, I would take Zelensky aside and said, tell him we're not giving you any more money. And sorry. But we're not really that sorry. We just say that a lot in Canada. Get out. Bye. Right? Seriously. I would not fund any more of this because it's ridiculous. And it is a theft from the Canadian public. And the fact that our politicians aren't talking about this, horrific, awful. We're being lied to. Bradshaw says, new anti-idling rules. I'll stop when Trudeau's motorcade stops, right? Sure. And I was worried that it's broader, but it's not. It's just a bylaw. Ottawa's new anti-idling rules begin on New Year's Day. Here's what you need to know. So if it's -10 outside, you turn off that car and you put up your hood. Ottawa, at least you're not in the wind chill, right? It's -30 in the wind chill. It's just -10 in your car. Ottawa motorists will need to watch the clock when idling their vehicles as the city implements new rules under the anti-idling bylaw to crack down on unnecessary idling. As of January 1st, the maximum idling time for occupied vehicles is 3 minutes per hour when the 3 minutes per hour when the temperature is between 0 and 27 degrees Celsius, and 10 minutes when the temperature is colder than 0 degrees or warmer than 27 degrees. Well, there's no difference between 0 and 27 degrees. It's totally the same. Like 1 degree and 27 degrees, perfect, exactly the same. There's no difference, and you should be able to survive with your car only idling 3 minutes. So deal with it. 1 degrees. Give me a break. The maximum idle time for an unoccupied vehicle is now 1 minute per hour, regardless of the temperature. Oh, you're not allowed to warm up your cars now in Ottawa, right? Like this is not, that's not a good thing. And these are laws. Like they're like, listen, you can't, that auto start you bought? You're not allowed to use it anymore. Sorry. Nope. So, I mean, what other conveniences, modern conveniences, is climate change going to take away from you, right? And not climate change, sorry, I misspoke, is the justification of climate change being invoked to make these new laws to destroy your ability to use things that you've purchased, right? Like, it's not climate change doing that. It's the zealots who are in leadership and in office. So we should not tolerate this madness because it's madness. Cat Canada says, according to records obtained from the itineraries published by the Prime Minister's office website, Justin Trudeau took 116 days off in 2024. When we ran into him in Tofino, he told us that he works harder than most Canadians. How many days off a year do you have? Well, you know how many days off a year I took last year, and it was a couple of weeks. I went to Universal Studios. So regular people work hard and take some time off. But can you imagine if I took 116 days off? Would you still watch me if I took 116 days off? I hope so. I'm not planning on taking 116 days off though. Holly Doan says, if I was in government, I think I'd do more videos, and not because I would have more time, but I think like I'd do shorter videos that were like more concise about things like, do you know blah? But I think it's interesting how the government generally doesn't communicate well with the constituents. Like the communication is ham-fisted and usually filtered through committees and other things. It's not authentic, really. I don't feel like it's authentic. Holly Doan says Parliament must enact tougher laws to shield telecom networks from copper thieves. Business groups tell Senate copper theft is a growing problem. So copper theft is just terrible, man. You can't have copper theft. Table Salt says, congrats. Now we owe $8,860 in CPP contributions if you make a normal wage. Welcome to 2025. So the government is changing things for gig workers. So if you have a job through Upwork or something to that effect, then new tax laws require web platforms like Upwork to report gig workers' income to the Canada Revenue Agency. So the gig worker is supposed to report that. But I was saying before that prior to laws being changed to make your employer submit your income tax on your behalf, the uptake of people paying income tax was very low. And indeed, my grandparents, who lived in Greece and moved to Canada when I was young. Some sad news about an intrepid reporter that's been publishing interesting things for the last couple of years anyway. Naya is going to be leaving us, she says. But she says, I've got files which I've not investigated and shared for others to look at. And then she shared the 2024 government committee published its report on the use of the Emergencies Act. No one in media has covered this. I put it through ChatGPT basically, and I said, give me the highlights and give me the page numbers. So page 51 to 54 is about the justification of the Emergencies Act. 62 to 67 is freezing of financial accounts, impact on residents and businesses, page 20 to 23. And this is justification for why it was bad, but it doesn't rise to the level of needing the Emergencies Act. There was no national emergency because people were honking horns in Ottawa. Dissenting opinions were 93 to 115. Disagreements among political parties, particularly from the Conservative Party and Bloc Québécois, about the necessity of invoking the Emergencies Act. And then the consultation process is 23 to 25. And so there's controversial stuff in there, but I haven't had a chance to dig into it because it's busy. It's busy times, right? And I mean, it gets busier, just getting busier. So if you're interested, you can check out the PDF links in the description and you can read for yourself what's going on all those pages. Again, I'll try and pick it up. I'll try and pick up what she does or try and see the things that she was maybe going to put together, although it's difficult. I said, how do you do what you do? Like, tell us and link your strategies, kind of. And so I've joined the mailing list that she's suggested, and fingers crossed, I'll do my best, right? Big shoes to fill. So Holly Doan, moving on, says, despite the proposed capital gains tax hikes not being law, that isn't stopping the Canada Revenue Agency, the tax man in common verbiage, from enforcing it, which is nonsense. They should not be allowed to enforce something that's not passed the House of Commons. And Chrystia Freeland's a terrible finance minister, and we shouldn't listen to, we shouldn't comply with her legacy. We should dismantle it, really, because she's a reporter, not a finance minister. Here's discussion about an invasion ongoing in Canada and indeed the West. Riley says, police bust illegal immigrant smuggling at Roxham Road on the Canadian side of the border. And so this is happening, I guess. They care suddenly. Like, illegal immigration is something that they're just going to intake these people and give them access to a hotel and thousands of dollars a month. So, I mean, it's not the those flashing lights aren't bringing justice, right? They're bringing our tax dollars and a free cell phone. That's basically it. And then when people get established, they feel like they can go out because they're not working. They're getting free government money, right? So they can go out to these protests. And Brian Lilly says, shutting down Union Station to kick off 2025, the apologists in the media will find a way to say it's no big deal. So on one side, you've got the Freedom Convoy that was vilified for honking horns and being disruptive and et cetera, et cetera. Well, I'll read it. I'll read a little excerpt. Hold on. Page 20 says, impact of the Freedom Convoy, impact on the residents and communities. Many witnesses said that the Freedom Convoy protests and blockades had a significant effect on the residents' well-being, the livability of the neighborhoods, and their safety. Beyond the constant barrage of noise and diesel fumes, these residents experienced stress, psychological distress, sleep deprivation, hearing loss, and even suicidal thoughts while dealing with protesters. How can I be responsible for your thoughts? Like, I am the reason for your suicidal thoughts. You should probably see somebody about that, because that's not possible. Goodness me. Work on yourself first. It's not my fault that you're feeling that way. Goodness. Suicidal thoughts. The constant honking was particularly traumatic for residents downtown Ottawa. Mayor of Ottawa, Jim Watson, said the combined presence of 18-wheelers and vehicles in the downtown core felt like an overpowering and threatening armada for residents. The mayor of Coots, Jim Willett, said that the many elderly residents in his community were afraid to travel through the protest area because they felt intimidated by the protesters. So, right, there's these ideas that some people may feel scared of the protesters, intimidated by the protesters, and that has an effect. And that the government's saying, oh yeah, Emergencies Act, totally justifiable. Those truckers are scary. And then this. It's like a rock concert on purpose. They use rock concerts, although James Lindsay told me, so it might not be true information because he's a shill. Regardless, they, according to James Lindsay, use rock concerts to get people okay with this kind of stuff. But this is okay. Freedom Convoy, not okay, right? Weird. This gets my palms sweaty. This is the craziest friggin' thing in the world. They don't mention who the driver is of the vehicle. I don't know if they get the guy. But honestly, I watched this morning and I was like, holy shitballs. I don't want to drive anywhere. It's insane. This is insane. I don't know where in Canada this happened, but here. Oh, it's Ontario. Road rage incident in Ontario. So why is this in the invasion section of today's show? Well, you can extrapolate, I think. Here we go. Even though they don't tell us who the driver is.
This called to 911 while the incident was playing out.
White RAV4. Okay, they're gonna try and ram me head on. I'm in danger. What's your vehicle? I'm in danger. I'm in Honda Accord. Okay, I'm in danger. Why are you running into me?
See, there was a time at this point here, like when he knew that this guy was going to ram him. At this point in time, I think I'd be kind of pseudo freewheeling, and then I'd go up this way, like try and get around him, around the front of him, and maybe damage his car a little bit. Like I'd hit him, and I would try and dismantle his car. I would try and take his car out before I would be taken out. I would not be asking the police officers to come and help me at this point in time, because he's right. This is a clear and present danger. This guy's trying to kill him, right? And it's crazy. And he's saying he's trying to kill him.
Honda Accord. Okay, I'm in danger. I'm in danger.
Like, we're way past danger, buddy. Like, he doesn't even know why he's being run into, he says.
Where are you running into me? I'm here.
He
Says
pushes
he does
him.
not know this, ramming the vehicle in this alarm.
He pushes him all the way to the bridge.
I'm in danger right now. I'm in danger. On the bridge.
You can see the suspect vehicle ramming.
Then he takes
He
off
gets off the highway, driving toward
and he drives away. And the guy catches him again and pushes him off the road again. It's insane.
He's gonna pass me. I'm in front of. Ow! He's gonna hit me again. I can't see anything. Yeah, I understand that.
It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. Like, I don't think I wouldn't let myself get into a situation where I'm in a disabled vehicle or I'm being chased at high speed, because like the faster that gets, the more likely it's going to be like you're going to be damaged, right? Like that you yourself are going to be damaged. So like, holy shitballs. But like, the invasion of our country is coming with terrible consequences, absolutely terrible consequences, right? And so here is Eaton Centre, Toronto, Yonge Dundas Square. Where's this? New Year's in downtown Toronto, right? What do you hear? So there you go. What? There you go. Interesting times, eh? And not positive. I wouldn't say positive. John says egg prices have grown to $8.97 per dozen in California, a 70% increase from November 24, according to the U.S. Department of Agriculture. December 27 egg market overview. According to the USDA, the sharp increase in price is due to highly pathogenic avian influenza across the state in December 24, which led to the depopulation of almost 6 million birds. So it never really went away, did it? It's just subsidized, and now it's back, apparently. Bird flu, and they're going to use it to go after the food, because they will not be able to use it to go after lockdowns, because people won't do it. The food professor is talking about food as well. He says this guy is talking about what's his name? Trevor Tombe is talking about how the carbon tax doesn't increase the price of food, and food professor goes through multiple examples of different things that he's said, like revenue can easily replace other taxes. Carbon tax has no significant impact on food prices. Carbon tax is the most effective emissions tool. And food professor basically says, here's another 2019 interview with Trevor Tombe in which he argues that carbon taxes work because they raise prices. Yet he and Environment Canada employee Jennifer Winter has been pushing papers claiming that food prices are not impacted by the carbon tax, which is it. And we know that the food prices are impacted by the carbon tax. They're just liars. So it's interesting to have these people who are on government payroll who will say what they're paid to say and mislead people with regards to what the carbon tax impact actually is, all while people can't make ends meet, right? And the rent is doubling or tripling, et cetera, et cetera. It's not good, right? It's not a good thing. Very, very concerning stuff. This is an interesting situation. So there have been multiple terror attacks across the United States in different cities, different vectors, different attack styles. And people were talking about how when Donald Trump comes to office, the assets are going to be activated against him, basically. And we saw this the first time around, people saying, burning down this post office isn't an act of arson, it's actually a peaceful act of protest because reasons. And we're seeing the same thing now. Like, this bomb isn't actually a bomb, it's in front of a Trump Tower. So this is a political protest that's approved, right? And well, no, that's not true. So Champagne Joshi is responding to DC Drano. DC Drano says, remember when former CIA agent TPA Sarah said Al-Qaeda and ISIS were planning coordinated multi-city attacks in 2025, and how they have over 1,000 soldiers already in the U.S., right? Yikes. And Champagne Joshi says, I'd like to remind everyone who's listening to former CIA agents, in quotes, telling us that we had been infiltrated by al-Qaeda, that firstly, there are no former CIA agents, and secondly, the CIA, along with Western intelligence agencies, created, trained, funded, and armed al-Qaeda, which is just one name for them. Also ISIS, right? They've been doing it since at least the 1950s, and now you're supposed to ignore those historical facts, just like you're supposed to ignore the historical facts before before the Russia invasion of Crimea in 21, right? You don't talk about 2014, right? And the regime change in Crimea, et cetera, that NATO coordinated, right? You don't talk about that. October 7th, you don't talk about October 6th. You don't talk about anything that happened before that, right? You don't talk about the Balfour Declaration. You don't talk about the promises made to Turkey at the beginning of the Second World War. If you support us, we'll give you the land back. Yep. And you don't talk about any of that. There's context. There's reasons that people in those regions hate each other. And there's a reason we should damn well stay out of it. But we don't. So, more fool us. We're spending money to make very, very pissed off enemies who will come and destroy our culture and laugh at us. And I mean, we're behaving stupidly. I'm not saying we deserve it, and I'm not saying they're justified to do it. But if you're playing a game of civilization, and I'm playing a game of civilization, and you find out that another country is spying on you and doing other things and acting in nefarious ways, doing things that are not helpful for your community, are you going to retaliate? Probably. Are you going to be justified in doing so in the game? Probably, right? Anyway, it's one of those things, right? They've been doing it since the 1950s, and the infiltration is a deliberate black op designed to destabilize the country, take away rights, and control domestic and foreign policy indefinitely. Yes, that's what's going on. Wall Street Mav says this is not a battery fire. This is an explosive device placed in a Cybertruck in front of Trump Hotel. This is clearly a message being sent to Elon and President Trump. So this Cybertruck explosion in front of a Trump Hotel happened yesterday.
Copy.
So that's not great, but apparently the Cybertruck actually contained the explosion very well. A bomb went off in the Cybertruck's bed and the tires didn't pop or deflate. The exterior of the truck is intact. The bed door is still attached to the 1.4 millimeter, 1.8 millimeter steel exterior, 2 times thicker versus a normal truck, helped to contain the blast. It's the toughest and most badass truck ever made. We're going to see a commercial about the Cybertruck using this explosion, I think. Libs of TikTok says the Airbnb where the terrorist was staying burned down in a fire this morning. So the New Orleans fire may be connected to the Bourbon Street attack. An Airbnb where the suspect who allegedly drove into a crowd at a New Year's Eve celebration in New Orleans was staying at burned down, according to news reports. So there was the ramming attack. There was the Cybertruck attack, and there was a third one as well. There were a whole bunch of pipe bombs found in, I want to say St. Louis, but there was a whole neighborhood cordoned off in a big American city, and I can't remember the name of it. But again, I want to say St. Louis, but I can't remember. Brittany says, has a terrorist cell been activated? Virginia? Oh, that's it. Virginia. See, I was wrong. 500 pipe bombs found in a house. Las Vegas car bomb at Trump Tower. New Orleans crowd attack with a vehicle. And now Houston, Texas, a city block is shut down and is being investigated for links to the attack in Louisiana. No details. So weird, right? Here's the FBI agent talking about the Cybertruck attack, saying this is not a terrorist attack. Don't worry, it's not a terrorist attack. Here we go.
Kirkpatrick said we'll be taking over the investigative lead for this event. This is not a terrorist event. What it is right now is their improvised explosive devices event. This is not a terrorist event. What it is right now is their improvised explosive devices.
Right. We all know improvised explosive devices, not terrorism. That's just kids being kids. That's just unnamed, nondescribed people kind moving explosive-y things around, right? This isn't a terrorism thing. Oh, except now it is, right? Here's the same agent a few minutes later.
Other potential IEDs were also located in the French Quarter. As of now, 2 IEDs have been found and rendered safe. The FBI's collision bomb technology, as our local law enforcement partners, have been working to determine if any of these devices are viable, and they will work to render those devices safe. The FBI We are working with our partners to investigate this as an act of terrorism.
Okay, so we're investigating this as an act of terrorism, she says, after saying just a couple of seconds before that, this is not a terrorist device. Or this is not a terrorist situation. It's just IEDs. Okay. Terrorists are known for IEDs, eh? Take that man to jail. That's very racist to terrorists. Terrorists aren't a race. Okay. Hello, everyone. Thanks very much for watching. This is just a short version of a longer show. If you'd like to get the whole show, you can go over to CanadaPoly.com and sign up for a subscription. Just look in the drop-down tab for Shop and Donate and look for subscriptions, and you'll get immediate access to the full show. Love to see you. Thanks for watching, everybody. Have a wonderful, wonderful